Okay, so I'm now on my journey and I'm making observations against the weather forecast and the Scottish Avalanche Information Forecast that I've looked at in my planning. And we're very lucky today that we've got some superb visibility. I'm beginning to look at it from different areas to fit in with that avalanche forecast. I'm going to be looking at my altitude. I'm going to be looking at the aspect of the slope. I'm going to be looking at the angle of the slope. And because we've got good visibility today, I can even look to see if there's any avalanche activity. If I haven't got good visibility, that last one is going to be difficult to see unless I stumble across some debris. But I can still assess, even in bad visibility, what altitude I'm at, what aspect the slope is on, and what the angle of that slope is. And that's going to be key to making my journeying decisions, and particularly when I'm getting into those key places, such as ridges and my summit aim. The forecast was some light northerlies and a temperature inversion, and that's what we've got. And as I look back at that temperature inversion, I've got a ridge and I can see a cornice line on it. And that fits in with the aspect from the strong northerlies that we had earlier in the week, and they've created a cornice on that ridge line. The main thing about that is that it's quite low down, so that's giving me a little warning that higher up it's probably even greater. And as I'm going along, I'm just sort of prodding the snow, and as I prod it, my pole is going in and it's going through a sort of a crust, and that crust is yesterday's sort of melt, and it's frozen overnight as the temperatures have got colder. But down below, the snow is still soft. So that's giving me quite a lot of information, and I don't even need to stop when I'm doing that. I'm also looking at little things on the hill, and here we've got a boulder, and it's completely free of snow on one side, and that's the windward side from earlier in the week. But on its leeward side, it's got a deposit of snow, and that little mini mountain can fit in with the larger mountain. And down below it, there's a wind scoop where it's scoured out some snow. If I now extend that up to the main part of the mountain, I can see I've got two ridge lines here. And the one that's caught in the sun there has got a definite cornice line on it. It's wind scoured on one side, and there are definite deposits on the leeward side. So if I extend Mini Mountain just a little farther afield, down in the valley here, I've got a slightly bigger feature, and that's got an extended ridge going off that's definitely wind scoured, and the sun is picking out a loaded aspect there, and that reinforces Mini Mountain. Now I look back up at the main part of the hill, and I've got two ridges. They're being caught by the sun, and they're both loaded on their leeward slopes and slightly wind scoured, but there is a greater snow cover up there. This is a more complex situation, and although it fits in with the avalanche forecast of loaded slopes and a considerable hazard on easterly aspects round to southwest, there's also other snow concentrations on other aspects which are created by cross-loading. So I've really got to look at this in a more detailed way and really assess where my travel is going to take me. Obviously I'm going to look for the snow where it's been scoured, and that's going to be as safe as possible. But where it's not, I'm going for the minimum snow cover, and I'm definitely going to avoid those loaded slopes. So well on our journey now, and we've reached one of our key places, the ridge that we identified down below. And as you can see, the ridge is pretty safe. Although it's covered in snow, these rocks are sticking through and they're holding that together, showing that the snowpack is quite shallow. But if we look over to the left, the wind has carried that snow over, and it's loaded this slope on this side of the ridge. So we're quite safe here. And the other thing that backs that up is if I look at this boulder here, you've got riming, and riming builds up into the wind. And although this is quite old riming because it's got these sort of melt areas on it, this is where the main area of wind deposited this snow, and that backs it up. And in fact, it's got some deposition on the back of it here as well. So that riming is another great indicator. So all that information that we gleaned from our planning, from looking at forecasts, from our observations down below, has come good now. And in this key place, we're well on our way to our objective. we're trying to avoid those changes in wind direction, changes in temperature that might lead to avalanche conditions. We're looking for those loaded leeward slopes. So it's worth visiting the Scottish Avalanche Information Service website, not just for the forecasting, but for an information gathering exercise. There's loads of educational tools on there, and you can learn lots about the things that allow avalanches to occur and how to avoid them.